The Legions of Athena, Chapter 33. Achilles knelt behind a demolished building, panting for breath, covered in dirt and sweat. He had just pulled Odysseus out from the wreckage of his mecha to safety, but the battle was not over, and Achilles did not have time to rest. Though his Styx armor seemed untouched, it too had just withstood a great ordeal. Besides him sat Odysseus, unable to move with 2 fractured ribs and a broken leg. Around them, the 2 mechas that survived the initial barrage now lay as scrap with their drivers dead. Only Argos, Achilles, and Theseus still stood engaging Hercules. "Just like old times," Odysseus said, gasping for breath. "I remember us winning the Trojan War. If you ask me, nobody won that bloody war, except maybe the gods." Odysseus said, "No, I meant you having to save my rear." Hercules had crushed the general's mecha. It was just too big a target. Odysseus would have ended with it if Achilles hadn't dashed in to save him. But Hercules had wreaked enough damage on Mr. Nobody, as evident from his broken ribs and leg. "I always knew that one of the Omega-7 would be the end of me," Achilles said. Odysseus chuckled, but that just made his chest hurt more. He searched his pockets and pulled out a pack of cigarettes. "I thought you quit," Achilles said. "I did. One of the soldiers handed me this pack back when we thought we had won this war. How wrong we were. Seems a pity to let this go to waste, though." Odysseus placed a cigarette in his mouth and asked, "You still got that souvenir of yours?" Achilles knew what he was talking about. He took out the lighter he carried with him since the Trojan War and lit the cigarette for his friend. Behind the building they hid while Theseus and Argos still fought Hercules. Achilles would join them soon once he caught his breath. "After all these years you still carry that. Some might call it a fitting trophy." "You know it's not." I know. It's the token of the most unlikely friendship in the world, between Achilles and Hector," Odysseus replied. "You know, if you had led the Greeks and Hector had led the Trojans back then, we could have avoided that damn war. If it wasn't for Agamemnon's stubbornness and Paris's stupidity, we could have still avoided it. Life is just full of ifs," Achilles said. "True, but you didn't have to kill him. He killed Pat, my own blood. There was no other way. You always told me Hector was the greatest combatant you ever faced. Do you feel different now that you have faced Hercules?" Achilles got up and readied his blade and shield and said, "No." Odysseus knew that would be his answer, the rivalry that had turned to respect, which could only occur when 2 men were truly equal. The general smiled as he closed his eyes. As he did so, he remembered the symphony of blades written by Achilles and Hector. Hercules stood sweating. He hadn't exerted himself for years, but then he expected nothing less from Theseus. But even the Minotaur Slayer was not worthy to face his true power. The metal dog attacked again. It was quick, which had made it interesting, but he was tired of playing with it now. So with one swift strike of the lion tamer, he beheaded the beast, sending its artificial head flying into a building. But still Theseus remained. The Athenian champion was a bloody mess, but he still kept coming, swinging that great axe of his. Hercules knew he was a stubborn one, and that he would not back down till he was dead. Theseus had been entertaining, but he had already taken so much beating. It was time to end his misery. Hercules planted the lion tamer into the ground to face Theseus with his bare hands. The Athenian saw this as an opening and charged with his axe. Hercules did not even bother blocking the attack, and the axe did not even scratch his lion fur armor. But Theseus was too close now. Hercules grabbed him by the collar with one hand and gave a hard punch to his torso with the other. Theseus plunged bare-chested to the ground. His armor had been ripped off his body and remained where Hercules held it. This time Theseus did not get up. Hercules tossed aside the broken armor and retrieved the lion tamer to end Theseus once and for all. But the black swordsman stood blocking his path now. "I was wondering where you were hiding. Though if you had any sense you would have run far away from me," said Hercules. Achilles did not answer. Instead he readied his blade and raised his shield, ready for the attack. "So be it. I am tired of playing as well," said the Olympian. In an instant Hercules charged, but it was different from before. Achilles was able to dodge his strikes before, but he was much faster this time. All he could was block. Achilles faced a barrage of hits from the massive club. He blocked most in time, but a few got through, and if it wasn't for his armor, the fight would have already been over. It wasn't just speed and strength either. His strikes were skilled and precise, leaving no opening for a counterattack. "Surprised?" Hercules asked. "I had slowed myself down before to keep things interesting, but I once caught the Cyrenian hind, the fastest beast on the planet. Keeping up with you is child's play." Achilles guarded the best he could, but shots still got through. Then it happened. Hercules brought his fist down hard, and Achilles blocked it with his Terra shield. But it left him open for the second attack. Hercules thrust his lion tamer straight at his bionic leg, crushing it completely. Achilles pulled back and tried to remain standing. His bionic leg had broken off and his left leg was a stump again. He knew the fight was over. Before he could even ready his shield, Hercules struck again. Grabbing the lion tamer like a baseball bat, he swung it hard at the crippled hero, sending him barreling across the field, dropping his blade and shield as he did. Hercules walked up to the shield and picked it up. The legendary Terra shield forged against Troy, made from the black metal found in the river Styx, unbreakable in nature. Hercules began applying pressure to the shield, and to Achilles' shock it began to bend, and then a loud crack, and the shield had broken into 2 pieces, one in each hand of the Olympian. "Guess the legend of the shield is nothing compared to the legend of Hercules," he said. "Now let us see about your unbeatable armor." Achilles could not believe that the shield that had survived so much had been broken, but his armor was a different story. Though the shield and the armor were made from the same black metal, he knew that even Hercules would find it hard to break. Perhaps it was this thought, or perhaps it was the thought of his imminent death, or being challenged by such strength. Achilles felt that which he dreaded the most all his life. He felt the armor breathe. He knew how easy it would be to let go of his rage once again, to let the armor of sticks breathe once more. He could let go of it right now. He could let go of everything. But something stopped him from doing just that, and it was Hercules. Hercules was no longer occupied with Achilles. He seemed distracted by something far away and was looking blankly in another direction. Achilles felt it too, a sudden spike in energy from far away, in the direction Hercules was staring at. There seemed to be another powerful player in Athens, one that could perhaps even challenge Hercules. Hercules turned back to Achilles and said, "I am afraid I do not have time to test your armor. Something more interesting has just presented itself." With one great leap, Hercules took to the air, heading towards the direction of the new challenger. Achilles couldn't believe his luck, but it seemed he wouldn't have to use his final trick today. A pity, because Hercules would have enjoyed it. With whatever strength he had left, he held back the armor of sticks and laid it to rest once more, right before he fell unconscious to the floor. The owl's nest stood in a fraction of its former glory at the center of the city. The castle was completely deserted now on the orders of the goddess. Not a soul could be found anywhere within it but one, Athena herself. The goddess of wisdom sat on her throne watching the doors. She was still weak from the battle with the dragon, but there she sat again, dressed in her armor with her spear in her hand. Her castle was wrecked, her city was destroyed, and her subjects scattered. She had no doubt her end would come soon, but she was glad about one thing: the charade was finally over. She no longer had to serve her mentor's killer. She could die with pride, knowing that she at least never gave up on finding the truth, just like Themis had taught her. After the great Titan war, the 3 brothers had carved up the domains. Zeus formed the Council of Olympian Gods, the highest honor one could receive. Themis was offered a seat among the Olympians by Zeus for her service against Cronus, but she had declined. She had said she only wished to serve justice, and had founded the Sisterhood of Libra to fight for the underprivileged and downtrodden. Athena had met her after becoming an Olympian herself, still a young god in her hundreds. She idolized Themis completely, as did many others. In a world ruled by men, she had proved that a woman could be just as fierce and just as powerful. Naturally, Athena jumped at the chance to join the sisterhood, and her adoration for the Titan of Justice only grew as she worked with her. Themis was the beacon of light for the oppressed and the weak. But all that changed when Ares attacked her kingdom of Justitia. But Themis never asked the sisterhood for assistance. She had said the sisterhood was formed to help the underprivileged, and not for her private battles. Still, Athena did not worry. She knew Ares was no match for Themis. So imagine her shock when she found out about her teacher's death, killed by Ares, they said. But Athena did not believe this for a second. She knew someone else was involved. She never stopped searching for the truth, even after the sisterhood dissolved, and even with refuges of Justitia running to her for protection from Ares, she still hunted for her master's killer. She found him. The man who had killed Themis was the same man whom she had pledged her loyalty to as an Olympian god, Zeus. There was never a moment in Athena's life where she felt so powerless. She had found the killer, but she could do nothing. He was Zeus, the Sky Father, the most powerful being alive. Athena never found out why Zeus killed her, but she knew no one could go against him. So for years, Athena politely bowed to the God King, hiding her grudge and biding her time. An opportunity arose to get back at the Thunder Emperor, in the form of Daedalus. For reasons of his own, Daedalus wanted protection from Zeus and came to Athena for aid, and the goddess gladly provided it. It was not much, but denying the king of the gods of the inventor was all she could do for her cause. A move she was about to pay for dearly now as she heard the loud thundering footsteps approaching the throne room. But amidst this war she had found hope. A hope that justice might still prevail for the murderer of Themis. For the boy had lived, the boy named Maximus. But now the time for nostalgia and hope had passed, for the doors had swung open, and the god of war was facing her in his blood-red armor. She rose from her throne to greet Ares, and readied her spear for one last time. This has been a chapter from Book 2 of the new World Odyssey Series, The Legions of Athena. Links to the books in the bio. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this chapter, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. See you in the next chapter.